Hey everybody, we've got another fun TLN webinar starting today. So I'm DJ, I'm with the Library Network, and today we are talking about SubShift, the super cool library substitute employee pool. With us today to talk about it is Kelly Bennett, our contract services coordinator. And I'll let you take it away.
Thanks so much, DJ, and welcome to everybody that has joined us and is joining us. Thank you for coming to this webinar on TLN's newest service, the Substitute Employment Services Pool. I'm going to present on the needs of this service, that is the needs that this service is filling, the problems it solves, a little background about how we got here, and where this service is going. Then I'll do a live demo showing you what the app looks like on a smartphone and your web browser. We'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So if they do pop up for you while you're watching, feel free to pop them in the chat and DJ will collect them to read at the end. So TLN Substitute Pool app, SubShift, launched this year on September 30th. So it's just a little baby. We currently have 21 managers in the system and 148 library professionals who are looking for sub work. So let's get into a little bit how the pool came to be. Um, you probably all know this. You're here at this webinar. But substitute work is valuable for both the libraries that use substitute employees, the employees taking the shifts, and not to mention the other permanent employees at the libraries that get a break when subs come to help. Libraries obviously get more coverage, schedule flexibility. They can expand their employment network, which allows for easy hiring when vacancies occur, not to mention relieving permanent employees from burnout. On the sub side, sub-employment serves as early vital experience for new library professionals. It helps to give them an expanded network of colleagues, not to mention different views on policies and procedures at the different libraries that they can sub at. It can also serve as a doorway to permanent full-time employment or simply a way to make ends meet. Just to share a little bit about why this was an important project for me, I understand firsthand how valuable substitute employees are. I was the head of circulation at Ferndale Area District Library for 12 years, and subs were a godsend. They allowed me to fill those schedule gaps, ensure coverage, and allowed us to take a day off every once in a while. And I got to add to our network, our little Ferndale family, as we like to call it. And I can say that we hired at least 5 of our circulation subs alone into permanent positions over the years that I was there. Of course, there are challenges to hiring substitutes. Going through the selection and interview process, only to find out your first pick can't work on that one day that you needed them the most. You also never really know who's seeing your post. And of course, in a tight pinch, you might want someone who has experience with your ILS, so you can get them up and running fast. For subs, you want work that's near to you and at libraries you're interested in working at. You don't want to apply to every library in the region waiting for those calls. And you want everybody to know your availability without having to repeat yourself 1,000 times. So, what is the solution that we've come up with? A single shared platform, which we're calling SubShift. That's the first steps to bringing subs and libraries together in our pool. Subs looking for work enter their information, preferences, and resumes securely from a simple form. Managers and directors use powerful filtering to find subs that fit their needs in a couple of minutes. The two sides of this app feed a growing database that allows for managers to narrow down a list of hundreds very quickly. Now, the subpool isn't just a little side project, it's part of TLN's strategic plan. Specifically, it supports our values of service and collaboration. It brings value not only to our member libraries, but to all the library professionals in our community. The TLN Substitute Employment Services Committee has done tremendous work at getting us to this stage and will continue to help refine this process. Yes, if you're interested in joining that committee, DJ can confirm this, but I believe the call for committee members has gone out. So that,
It
as
has.
many of other TLN committees. So if you are really interested in this project and have ideas, please join up. We'd love to have your help. And of course, this is just the beginning. So as part of the strategic plan, goal number 4, this is these are the phases we've sort of laid out. Phase 1A was launching our app, and we have officially accomplished that. It's in beta testing right now. And now we're moving on to phase 1B, which is refinement. So we'll be seeking plenty of feedback through formal surveys of users once we have a few months under our belt. We're also welcoming informal feedback in the form of conversations, emails, and even this Q&A session at the end of this webinar. I'll also be sending out surveys to everyone who has attended here just to get a little bit more feedback about the pool and how you think this webinar went. Moving on to phase 1C, we'll beginning to plan and implement a scheduling service. So in our vision, at least at this stage, it's going to look like substitute teacher pool. Obviously, there's a lot of research, feedback, and development to do, but right now that's kind of the direction we're going to be heading. Future phases, we'll look at employment screening services and broader employment services. While currently this pool will be used by libraries in conjunction with their own HR practices, we envision it helping folks to narrow down lists of substitute employment candidates for recruitment, or even for part-time or permanent employees, if that is something you need. Future services could include vetting, background checks, hiring subs that are placed into member libraries, and lots of other ideas that we have floating around. And again, this is another place where we'd love to have your feedback and hear about what you think the subpool should develop into, or better yet, join the committee. Getting those plugs in there, DJ. All right. So obviously I'll get more into this during the demo, but here's a short version of how the subpool app works for subs. So you can see a little screenshot there. That is the top of the form that you would fill out. If you can fill out a Google form, you can do this. Your application will be reviewed and approved by me. So I will take a look and see if there's any information missing or if anything seems amiss. And I have been known to contact folks and say, doesn't look like you filled this part out correctly, or did you want to add a resume? So I am definitely hands-on with this project. So any questions or issues you have with it, please feel free to reach out. I'll put my contact information on screen at the end. So once you fill out that info, unless your information changes, that's it. That's all you have to do. You're in, you'll get a confirmation, and your info is there ready for managers to take a look. And for library managers, again, we'll get into it. Once your application is approved, you'll have access to the full database of subs. There will be built-in views that take you directly to lists of subs that you know can work at your library. So it already cuts that list of 148 and growing folks down to people who just said that they can work at your library. From there, you can view their full profiles, download their resumes, and contact folks directly from your browser or mobile device. One more thing before I get to that demo. I want to show you our hub for all things sub, tln.org/subs. So let me switch to that view real quick. So this is our page. There's all the information about it. Any updates will go here. But the spot you want to take a look at is right over here on the right-hand side. If you are joining the sub pool, you can either do it via mobile, which will prompt you to download and install the app, or you can just view it in the browser. It's not as pretty, but it works just the same. And then if you are a manager or library director that is interested in using the subpool, you will click on Request Manager Access and come to a Google form where you just fill out your information. A note that if you want access, you must have either Google, Microsoft, Apple, Dropbox, Smartsheet, Box, or Salesforce email address to log in. Now, you can use a Gmail address that's not directly, that doesn't have the domain name of your library. Just make sure that you're not sharing it with anyone outside of work, since you will have access to the private information of the substitute employees. So yeah, our terms and conditions are here. There are, just any information, including a specific contact page. If you have questions, that will come directly to me. Right. All right, let's get to this live demo. Everybody pray for me. All right. So a little bit about the app. It was built using Google's AppSheet program, which is what's called a no or low code platform that uses Google's robust security features and also ties into like the Google environment. So um, the spreadsheets, Google Sheets is basically the building blocks of this app. Um, and that makes it easy to share them, manipulate them anywhere. So it was a perfect choice for me because I literally had no experience in building apps and built this one in 6 months. There's more work to do, but the fact that it's functional at this point is kind of amazing. So if you do have any questions about AppSheet or app building, please email me at kbennett@tln.org. I want to focus more on the actual usage of this app rather than building apps, but I'd love to talk to you about how you might be able to use it. All right, so I'd like to start with the Substitute Sign Up app. And this is what it will look like on a cell phone. You'll notice at the bottom you have join the substitute pool and update your information. One piece of advice, if you're not sure if you're in the sub pool, even if there's a small chance you might be, I would still click join the substitute pool. The way it appears in the back end, it's easier for me to approve those rather than an update that's not being assigned to an existing user. So that's just a little quirk there. So I'm going to go ahead and sign somebody up using this so you can see. And we're also going to take a look at this profile from the manager side once it's input. So we're going to sign up Margaret Atwood for some employment here. And someone out there with this email address has probably been getting some mysterious emails, but maybe it's Margaret Atwood herself. That would be very funny. All right, so we're going to give Margaret an MLIS. So you can see a lot of these are they're drop downs, and that's to keep the data clean and the searchability functional. So we're going to give Margaret 3 to 5 years of experience. Um, and I've got a drop down here of various ILSs. This is another area where I'd love feedback. If there's things missing in this list, if there are things that don't make sense. I copied these from previous data, but if you feel like some changes need to be made, I'd be happy to make them. So as you can see, this is pretty simple, though powerful. We're going to choose a few employment areas, and this will guide where Margaret's profile appears on the views on the manager side. So if you are filling this out, be cognizant of that. All right, and we're going to move on to availability. And as a former manager, I would say I would always tell um, my interviewees, please be honest about what your availability is. If there's like a Friday night bowling league that you don't want to miss, um, please please indicate that because it's going to be if you say you're available, you might get scheduled on that day. So and also, for folks trying to put together multiple sub positions or multiple part-time positions, don't forget to leave yourself a day or two off so that you're not burnt out. And if you're in charge of your own schedule in this way, uh, that is important to remember. All right, so now we're going to get to one part that I am quite proud of. We're going to select counties here. You'll notice that Ingham is in there. That's for the newly added capital area district libraries. For today, we're just going to select Oakland, but know that if you select multiple counties, the drop down for which libraries you are going to work at will include every library in that county. So you'll see right there that libraries you're willing to work at has popped up underneath where the counties was, even though it was invisible before. So you must select a county before you select a library. All right, so we have our long list of libraries. I'm going to choose the library network. That's my test library for today, so that I'm not showing you people's personal info. And then we also have type of employment desired. So this is kind of a clue to the folks looking to hire, whether they can only count on them for, substitute work, or if it's somebody who they might keep in mind for an upcoming vacancy. But Margaret is busy. She only wants to work. She only wants to be a sub. And now we're going to upload our resume. So let's see, where is oh yes, I'm including a old resume of my own. Now we get to the bottom. This allows you to review and agree to the terms, which will pop up in PDF form right in your app. And you can read or download them here. And then we'll just use our back screen to get back, and same with terms and conditions. They're also accessible on the tln.org/subs page if you want to print them or read them in more detail. We're going to tap agree and then save. A word about AppSheet that you can't change the title of these buttons on the bottom. So instead of submit, it's cancel or save. So if you're using this and you're confused, just tap save. Now you'll notice in that upper right-hand corner, there's a little orange 1. That means that there was one new record in the queue, and since it is gone, it has been uploaded to that database. Let's see. So I would like to show you a little bit about the updating feature and talk a little bit about how that works, because it's not as straightforward as you might think it would be, but it does work well. So if we're in here and let's say our availability changed and we wanted to upload a new resume, you're going to tap that update button and then you'll enter the email address you signed up with. Even if you need to change that, you want to start with the email address that you used, your first name, your last name, and then you're going to indicate whether you need to just agree to the terms, update your information, or both. So in this case, we're going to just say update our information. And then we will only fill in the fields that have changed. So if my first name, last name, all that has not changed, I don't need to fill that in. But let's say I'm available all day on Mondays now. My schedule has changed. And I want to upload a new resume. And then I would click save. In this case, I'm not going to click save because I haven't approved our sub yet. Um, but you would then get an email that asks if you requested this change. And once you click approve, that shows up in my pending approvals to be confirmed. Um, in the future, we may have profiles for each sub that you can log in with an email address and all of that. But at this stage, we've decided to go with this simpler update feature for a variety of reasons, but it makes the workflow easier and folks don't have to remember yet another login or email address. So let me quickly behind the scenes approve our user so that we can see her in our next part of the demo. I believe, pardon my weird screen. Apologies. I'm going to stop share real quick so that I'm not showing everybody's information. All right. Now, normally, I would on probably a couple of times a day be checking for new submissions, and I will say most of the time I am getting one or two new users a day, which is very exciting. Right. And we'll get back to that app view. All right. Thank you for that. Yeah, so it's very exciting that we've got so many folks who are interested in this project. And now I am going to switch to the manager side of this app. So once you have been approved for the manager access, which I am again personally vetting all of the users, double checking that they are actually managers at their workplace and that we don't already have them listed. I'm sending an informational email about how to get started um, and that way it should be really easy to get in there. All right, so I am now showing the manager side app, and you'll notice across the bottom, there are 4 buttons that you can use to navigate this app. There's also a little hamburger menu on the left-hand side that has a few more options as well, which we'll get to. So let's say we want to find a librarian sub. If I tap on that, this view is only showing me folks with MLIS degrees who can work at my library. So as you can see, out of 148 subs, these are the folks who fit that bill right off the bat, one tap. Um, and to me, that was very important. We're trying to shrink this process down as much as we can with this database. And you can get a quick glance of how many years experience they have. If you look at the top right-hand corner, you can see some of the ILSs they have experience with, as well as action buttons right in there to call, text, email, or view their resume. Um, and we'll get into their profiles once I show you some more of these views. So next I have find a circ sub. So this is a very similar list. These are all folks that have indicated they would like to work in the circulation department. So it's regardless of education or other qualifications. Again, you've got a list of whatever ILSs they've said they have experience with. And then another view that I have, because sometimes you're looking for someone to fill a position that might be a little bit different, is my library view. So this is a list of everyone that has indicated they will be willing to work at your library, sorted by degree or education qualifications. And then you can dig in deeper and look and see what the other qualifications are. We also have all subs, which is literally just a list of all the subs in the database. It's a less refined view. It's something I need to spend a little more time. I just saw Diane's comment about wanting Douglas Adams to do the cataloging. Um, Hop on there, give him a call. So this all subs view is not quite as robust. It's something I want to build out a little bit more, but I wanted to concentrate on those ones that were going to be more useful. So um, let's pop back into find a librarian sub. Um, let's take a look at Margaret's profile since that's what we created. Basically tapping anywhere on the card will bring up a list of everything on her account. So right on the top is resume, and that little icon, you can tap on it and open up that resume, which we can do right now. My old fancy looking resume from many years ago. Um, obvious name, information, all that stuff. There's your full list of ILS experience, full list of employment areas, full list of their availability on particular days, and all of the rest of the info that we added. And again, if you wanted to text Margaret, you can text right from here or email and start that recruitment email right off the bat. Let me show you one more fun thing. So I'm going to go into my library view where I have everybody. And then right at the top is that handy little search. You can either search. So if you have a really long list and you're looking for someone in particular, you're welcome to search there. But you'll notice teeny tiny little thing on the left-hand side of the search bar is a filter button. So this can use anything that we ask for to filter your list down even further. A little caveat here, you may see some duplicate categories. And that is related to how some of the data came into this database. So if your query doesn't give you exactly what you need, you may have to choose the other one. Again, something to clean up. It's a beta thing. All right, so we've got our list of people. Let's say we are desperate for someone to work Monday afternoons, and we need them to have an MLIS. So we've selected those two options here. We're going to tap done, and you'll see across the top, you'll know which filters you have, and now you have filtered out this list down to people who are available on Monday afternoons. So as quickly as that, you can view folks who might work out. um, as opposed to dozens and dozens of resumes. Interviews where you find out, oh, Monday afternoons they pick up their kids from soccer practice. They absolutely cannot make it. So um, that's a handy way to do that. And of course, you can always close those out and go back to your original view. Let me show you a few of the other views I have created. By the way, these views are, I can create an infinite number of them. So if after I have shown what I've created, you're like, boy, I really wish there was a view for blank, let me know. And I can create it and throw it in there, see how everybody likes it. So I'm going to tap this little hamburger menu on the left-hand side and go through the rest of these. Find all circ subs is literally just a list of everyone in the database, regardless of whatever library they said they would work at, that says they would work in the circulation department. So maybe, that's just a better way to look at it for yourself. Same with the all librarian subs. These next three I thought would be a good way to drill into folks who already know your ILS. I know I have hired subs that already knew the system we were working on, and basically then just had to educate them on our personal policies and procedures, as opposed to sending them to Carl and or TLN training for Carl. So if I say find a Carl sub, for instance, this is literally everyone in the system who says they know Carl, and then I can use my filters to narrow it down to my library. And there we go. Um, again, these views can have like multiple um, things attached to them. So just like I created the librarian plus your library, we can do that with Carl, Millennium, Polaris, etc. I just wanted to make a few views that I thought would be useful. All right, so let me make sure there's not anything else that I wanted to cover there. No, that is it for the live demo. Now I will leave this up in the background for to answer any questions that folks might have. That's the end of my demo. Let me switch back to my screen here. So once again, you can have my contact information, including my phone number.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for this wonderful presentation and walkthrough. Um, we do have a couple questions in the chat, and I will say too, if you have questions in the chat, feel free. I will read them out loud, just so we can make sure that they end up in the recording. One of the first questions we got, and I know it got answered in the chat too, was does this vet out folks who haven't accepted a sub job in a certain amount of time, or is this something a person would have to do on their own end?
Currently, it does not do that. I am kind of brainstorming some ways to indicate, for folks to indicate when they've taken a job, or even for libraries to indicate when they've used someone, just a simple checkbox, that would record the date. But currently, it does not do that.
Another question we got, if it's been a while since you've created your profile, is there a way to view it rather than update it? For example, if you're not sure which days you selected in the first place, and you'd like to review the information, is that possible?
Um, I mean, in a manual way, I can contact, you can contact me and I can send you what you put in. This is the limitation of not having the individual accounts for folks. So if you would rather see what you put in first, feel free to email me and say, hey, this is my name and email address I used. Can you please send me what I have so I can, choose to update it? I, again, a limitation, but
We got another question. In the App Store, is the app in the App Store? And what is its name?
so if you currently It's in like the app sheet app. You have to install that first. So if you click on that link for the sub pool, like the sign up that I put on our website, it will take you immediately to AppSheet, where it will have you download AppSheet itself, and then this app will appear within there. So it's not out there in the store yet. We did kind of want to keep it keep it library because I'm already managing these signups from folks in this community, as opposed to, someone joining from like California, like that's just going to clog up the database. So if you have questions about that or it's not working exactly how you thought it would, feel free to get in touch with me. But and the browser one, even if you're looking at it on your phone, if you tap that browser link, it's going to look very similar, if not identical, to what the downloaded app looks like.
Perfect, perfect. We got another question. How many manager profiles should there be per library? Only one. Um,
Currently, that's what we're asking for. One, if you have a special case, if you're a larger library with, let's say, a very large, each individual department is very large, we we could perhaps make an exception, but we're asking right now that it's one per library.
this one also got answered in the chat too, but just so that way everyone can hear it for the recording. Um, uh, for the libraries, would they still have to add the folks to payroll, um, uh, as opposed to potentially the app one day doing that portion?
Yes, currently you're going to go through your normal HR procedures and payroll procedures for anybody that you hire. It's just a searchable database right now. We're hoping that at least it provides a narrowed down list of folks that you could even reach out to recruit. It's definitely something that a lot of folks have asked for as far as, putting them on TLN payroll or helping with some of that. So it's definitely like in our thought uh, loud about how we might do that for folks, but currently, no.
Yeah, and I think that also gets to the question in regards to how the substitutes are paid. Since some of the libraries might have cities involved or might have pre-employment screenings that they typically do, those processes would still need to be followed at this time.
Correct. Yes.
Let's see what other questions we have in the chat. Um, if you've already gotten granted manager access, what do you click on in order once you get into the system?
So if you should have received an email from me directly with the link to the app store or to the app or the browser version. If you need that sent again, I can do that for you. It's just a simple copy paste. I
Perfect.
realized, oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I realized I did not show the app on the browser version. So since we do have some time, I will
Yeah.
show it. So for the manager side, this is what it'll look like on a, regular screen. Not as pretty, but you'll notice all the icons are here on the left. So the same, librarian sub. If I click on one of my users here, you'll get it all in one window here to the right. So um, that's that one. And if you don't want to mess around with an app on your phone, or like I said, the browser works well. It's just a matter of, preference and how you want to access it. And then this is what the sub sign up looks like. Yes, sure. So again, a little link here on the side to join. You got your form. This one might actually be easier to do on on a computer just because of like the uploading and everything, but they work just fine in a browser. All right, go back to the questions now. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. That was perfect. Thank you. Another question, if you text through the app and a candidate responds, are the responses coming through the app? So maybe the communication portion.
Yeah. So basically, if you're using the app, it's going to look at your phone or browser settings to see what program you would want to use for that communication. So if you text, it's going to prompt you, do you want to, do you want to use your messages or whatever the Apple version of that is? And you'll make that selection. So it will go directly through whatever you normally use to text or call or email, and the same on the browser. So personally, if I were to try to call somebody from my browser, it would ask me if I want to use Ring Central, and I could do that if I wanted to.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that's it for questions in the chat. Maybe one question. What are you most excited to see come out of this?
I really am anxious to hear how those connections are being made. I'd love to hear that first story. I used the app, I found a sub, they're working out great. Um, and I'm hoping folks have enough faith to give it a try, even at this earliest stage, because the more feedback we get and the more kind of involvement and usage that we get, the better it will be. I'm also really excited to move to some of the later stages of, really helping libraries, bring subs in a way that would really cut down on their own work. And I know in the library world, there's a lot of folks out there trying to put two jobs together, and I was one of them, to make full-time work and, try to get health insurance and all that. So any way we can make that easier, better, kinder to everyone. It's really like a passion of mine to like kind of build these networks, because personally, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have lots of connections in the library world, folks that I'd worked for and worked with, that put in a good word for me later. And some of the best folks that I hired started as subs, and, you know, they were so easy to go like, oh, hey, we have an open position. I wonder if so and so would enjoy it. And bam, they come in, they're ready to go. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where it all goes and just help make these processes easier for people.
One last question. Um, would could you have the sub invoice your library? Um, uh, uh, they do that maybe every other month sub or for staff meetings because they didn't want to go through the trouble of going through all the payroll.
That was me. That was in response to the person who had to have drug testing. And I
Hmm.
just thought, if you don't need drug testing, like for a presenter at your library, you could maybe that's not very ethical, and maybe that would be a good way to do it. But anyway, I do that for one substitute, and it's easy.
Um, since I'm seeing a lot of answers coming from the chat, I'll give a quick section for Steve if you want to say anything. Since I know this is kind of the brainchild coming from you.
Sure. Um, so a couple of years ago, we had a lot of people asking for a substitute pool in the form of just, names and contacts, which this piece launches. But we also, every library has a different need. So some want us to get into the hiring piece, some want us to do the actual scheduling. So as Kelly said way back at the beginning of the presentation, part of our strategic planning for the network as a whole includes the goal of launching this app and then kind of outlining a 5-year plan of where this service may end up. So I just put in the chat here, one of our goals is that someday beyond substitutes, can we help 2 libraries with a half-time position combine it into 1 full-time position so that they get some better buy-in, some longer term employment from that individual, and then help graduating professionals say, hey, I get a full-time job instead of a half-time job. So, all the way from just searching this subpool app that Kelly's shown to actually move to scheduling and then to hiring and vetting hiring. And again, each library will be different. Some of you work in municipalities that they will do all the hiring and they won't let you do that. And that's fine. You'll still be able to do that, but you have access to searching the database. And then long term, for those of you that want us to pick up the HR services, we are mapping out which of those we'll be able to do in the future to assist your library through this program. Along with that is our budgeting process and how that will all work. So this free initial service will be the searchable database and access for managers and for subs. We plan to keep that portion free as we move into, vetting applicants and interviews and stuff like that. That will be a paid for service through the library network. So we are planning all that. Again, tln.org/plan /goals, sorry. That will take you to the strategic plan that we have for all of our different services, and it includes the outlined, fleshed out a bit more for this service in particular, what you'll see over the next few years that we'll be trying to roll out. So Kelly, who presented today, is our lead on this project and this service, but you can always contact me for more information. I'll drop my email in the chat as well. It's sbowers@tln.org. And really, this is just a basic beginning, but Kelly has put together this whole app that's searchable and usable by managers. We're connected with the 2 library schools here in Southeast Michigan at Wayne State and University of Michigan to let their students that are enrolled for library science and information sciences, if they're interested in putting their names in the pool here. The pool has all those searchable fields, like, have they completed a degree? Are they working on a degree? Are they doing just circ desks so they don't necessarily have a library science degree? All those things are in the app now, and we're really looking at this point next year. We're moving into kind of assessment, as Kelly noted. What's working and cool in the app, or what do you think we missed or need to switch up? And we got almost 150 sub candidates in there now, but what we really want to push is that all the libraries start using the app now, just to look for candidates. You don't have to commit to anything else, but if you're going to be posting and looking for subs, go ahead and look at this free database and say, oh, well, here's 5 people who already said they'd be willing to sub at my library. And then you get their basic information, their resume materials, and their contact information if you want to move forward with them. I see something.
Thanks, Steve.
In the chat. Let me see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to ask the last question in the chat, over to Kelly. I know at one point we were talking about 1 profile per library. Would we ever move to a method where we'd have potentially more than 1?
Yes, I think that is definitely in the cards. Again, it's more of like a slow rollout. We want to make sure that we wanted to see how many libraries were going to use it in the first place, So if every library in TLN signed up for the 1, that would be great. But, if it's half the libraries, but, 2 or 3 of them want 3 accounts, that's also in the cards. Like I said, if you are really eager to try this and your info desk manager and your circ manager are like, no, I really want to get in there, contact me and we can work something out for you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what Kelly said. It's 1 per library at the moment, but if your library already has 2 people that always do the sub scheduling, we're open to giving you 2 accounts for that. It's just part of our budgeting process. We pay for each manager account in this. We don't have to pay for each sub account. So talk to Kelly if you have questions or want to work something out.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I'm seeing in the chat. Thank you, Kelly, for this wonderful presentation. This will be available on our YouTube page for anyone who wants to watch it later, or if you want to reference anything or share it with anyone who hasn't had a chance to see it. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your days, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks everyone for your kind attention and your thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it.